Hey everybody, Bato Crep. It's 9 o'clock where you guys are at. I'm in California till tomorrow. It was a long day, and I'm working on the response that we have to file on the appeal that they got filed today. It's just typical stuff. We'll move forward with that. But I spent a lot of time. I agree with you, Jeff. It was probably the best day. I don't know how many thousands of pictures that I ended up getting today from parents, and also I thought was interesting is you guys are going to get me off track with those comments over there. I love it. Is I had teachers and I had school nurses and people that have probably been hiding in the background messaging me all day about how they had not seen the kids this happy in years and how they were so elated that this was going away. And unbelievable how that fringe minority was just blowing it up. Another story that I heard today is even in the Edwardsville school district down here, where they're still trying to force everybody except for the named plaintiffs to follow along, is the teachers are starting to get a little rambunctious here. It seems like they're getting a little bit of courage. And I guess some teachers got sent home in Edwardsville because they kept taking their mask off, even though they weren't a part of the teacher case. And then somebody would come in, some administrator, would come in and try to tell them to put it back on. They'd go out, they'd take it back off, and they'd tell all their kids in the room they take theirs off too. So, that kind of, I call it righteous indignation, right? That kind of righteous indignation can change all of this. And I lost track of those stories that I was hearing today. But, the toiletless tyrant gave a press release today, and it was supposed to be about, with the Illinois State Police and some of the good work that they're doing. But of course, the reporters couldn't help themselves. And the governor actually had a prepared statement that he wanted to read. And then he took a few questions. And he read his statement. And I'm listening, and I'm really listening and trying to be just ever so objective with what this man is saying. And you know what I walked away with? The guy's a narcissist. He's gaslighting people, trying to manipulate them into believing that what the reality is that he wants them to have, which is completely contradictory to what you see with your own eyes, you hear with your own ears. That's gaslighting, and it's done by people with narcissistic tendencies. That's all he did. I could not find anything in there that was like, okay, I might not agree with it, but at least I understand what you're saying. And it's like, no, it was all nonsense. And I've got because one of the reporters wanted to ask me to comment on today, I pained myself and I listened to that whole thing. And I was taking notes. And here's a few of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, right? He starts right off the bat criticizing the judge again. What a class act he is, right? What a class act. Criticizing the judge. And he said her legal analysis was out of step with the vast majority of legal analysis in Illinois. Her legal analysis was out of step with the vast majority of legal analysis in Illinois and across the nation. He doesn't give any specifics. He doesn't say what that was, because that's how gaslighters work. They throw those just blanket generalized comments out there trying to get people to bite. Well, let's talk about the legal analysis in Illinois as it relates to the issues that Judge Grishow was being asked to rule upon. She was the 7th judge in the state of Illinois, 7th, to rule on this question as it relates to students. Guess what it was? She was 100% consistent with those other 6 judges, because all 7 of them ruled the same way that she did. Judge Donald Schieffer out of Clinton County, Illinois. Judge April Trumper out of Macoupin County, Illinois. Judge Deborah Wellborn out of Adams County, Illinois. Judge Ronald Foster out of Bond/Madison County, Illinois. Judge Doug Drunke out of Montgomery County, Illinois. And Chief Judge Douglas Jarman out of Effingham County, Illinois. All of those judges ruled exactly like Judge Grishow did, but yet he wants to stand there and gaslight, saying it's out of step with the vast majority of legal analysis in Illinois. I guess these 7 judges who all ruled the same way don't know what they're talking about. Who's his legal experts? Right? The ones that agree with him? Because if they don't agree with him, he'll fire them and go buy some more that do. All of those judges said the exact same thing she did, but he's wanting to gaslight people. And then he says, and across the nation. Have you guys been listening across the nation? Did you listen to the case of the United States Supreme Court versus OSHA, where the analysis where they struck that rule down was pretty similar to why Judge Griswold and all these other judges ruled against him? Really similar legal analysis. But yet that's how this guy comes out the gate. And I'm already getting frustrated going, you're lying to people. If he wants to sell his bill of goods, can he at least do it without being a liar? Right? I don't know that he can. I don't know that he can give an honest comment out of his mouth. He can't. It's all manipulation. Let me move on with what he says. This lawsuit, he says, constrains the ability of the named school districts to maintain safe in-person learning requirements. So the judge's ruling, he says, constrains the school districts, constrains them. Let's talk about that. What did her ruling say? Her ruling said that as to the named children in this case, talk about the children primarily, the named children in the case only, you can't do certain things to these children in school districts, okay? What happened to the school districts? 200 and almost 50 of them right across this state, 250, that's over 25%. In 2.5 days are complete district-wide mask optional. Okay, completely district-wide. The judge didn't rule that. They did it on their own. And so how did her ruling constrain the school districts' ability to provide in-person learning? Because the school districts didn't even listen to him, and they didn't really listen to the judge. They went further than the judge said that they even had to. We've got over 80 more school districts, almost 100 more school districts, which have went mask optional that had no reason to do so under her ruling. So when the governor says that the ruling constrained the school districts, it didn't constrain them. They went well beyond on their own and did those things. He lied about that too. Another thing he says is he's working to have this overturned with all possible speed and expeditiously. And I explained to you guys yesterday, the progress of how you do an appeal of a restraining order is the same for everybody. There's no expeditious or aggressive. It's again, he lied again. That's lie number 3. He says masks have never been about what is required. It's about doing what's right. Oh, there's a gaslight for you. Do what's right. You know, what a manipulation. It's never been about what's required. And I started laughing again. The only reason that these school districts, for the most part, now we have a few in our state that think that these policies are the best. Not going to disrespect them. But overwhelmingly, most school districts have only done these things because he was mandating it, coercing them, intimidating them, and threatening them. And he says, oh, it was never about what was required, it what was right. There's another lie for you. Nowhere is it more true than in schools that we need to put these measures in place. Nowhere is it more true than schools. What happened to the small business owners? They were the ones, the culprits a year ago. Why isn't he saying nowhere is it more true than in the small business owners? Because they're not going to take it anymore. That's lie number, what lie did I have for that? That was lie number 6. Number 7. Illinois schools not named should follow the prescribed protocols. Now he's calling them protocols. Tools, protocols, guidance. How many words can the guy make up? You know, just say what it is. It's threats. But he says, which have been proven to reduce rates. There is no evidence whatsoever that says that masks on a child reduces the exclusion rates in school. There's no evidence. Does he have some study from Timbuktu, Bolivia, someplace that somebody wrote and might suggest that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There's no evidence. Because you know what evidence is? Evidence is don't have masking policies in a school, positivity skyrockets more than the community. That's evidence. There is none of that evidence. To the contrary, the school districts that have been mask optional for the whole year, their positivity rates are not different than the rest of the state. So the evidence is that masking does not reduce the exclusion. The evidence is it has no change or no difference whatsoever. Lie number 7. Labor union public agreements must be followed. Labor union public agreement. This guy's a licensed attorney. And again, I don't know if he bought it because he paid for the wing of the law. I don't know. But a licensed attorney would never say this. He's trying to say politically that if a collective bargaining agreement is entered into between teachers and school districts, that obligates the children to follow the terms and the parents to follow the terms of that collective bargaining agreement. So if the teachers and the union with the union and the school district bargained for some mask requirement, let's say they did hypothetically, that the children have to follow that same requirement. Guys, that's not how contract law works. It doesn't even make any sense. So a collective bargaining agreement cannot bind children who are not, and their parents who are not parties to that agreement. That is law school, not even 101. That's law school pre-101. And so to say that as a licensed attorney, it's like, why would you say that? Lie number 8. Again, he goes on again talking about the evidence is there for the mitigations. The evidence is there. I ain't ever seen it. And I asked for it in one of my cases. They don't have anything. They don't have any evidence. Evidence. Lawyers know what evidence is. Evidence is specific to these things. There's no evidence. He's got self-serving studies that he's afraid to show people that might support what he thinks. There's no evidence. If he has evidence that, let me say to this to you, my friends. If he has evidence that definitively says if we don't put masks on children in schools, that they will have increased positivity in that school. If that evidence exists, show it to me. I'll read it. And if it says that, I'll explain to you what it says. They don't have any of it. Lie number 9. By and large, everyone has kept their masks on. People across the state were messaging me today from the northern part to the southern part, outside of his world of Chicago, going that 80 to 90% of the kids and about 50-50 on the teachers today didn't have any masks on. But he says, by and large, everyone has kept their masks on. Lie number 10. Gaslighting king we got. Okay. COVID, now here's where he's playing his political games. COVID rates are going in the right direction, and he hopes to make changes in the coming days as he follows the numbers and science. COVID's going in the right direction because we're coming out of that lull to where a virus ebbs and flows, and this virus has increases and decreases that mask wearing in school districts ain't changing any of it. And so now that it's on a downward trend, he wants to try to pontificate that it was his mitigations causing it. Again, if he's got that evidence, let us see it. He doesn't have it. Here you go again. Poor legal reasoning should not take one of our most effective tools off the table. You buffoon, it wasn't poor legal reasoning that took him off the table. It was the Constitution and the rule of law that took your tool off the table. It wasn't poor legal reasoning. You just insulted 7 judges in the state of Illinois, you buffoon. You're going to say it's poor legal reasoning? You're going to start insulting these men and women of the judiciary because you disagree with them? Poor legal reasoning? It was the Constitution and the law that took the tool off the table. And if you think that tool is so effective, go get the legislature to pass that tool. Get them to do it. I double dog dare the legislature to try to pass a universal mask mandate. Procedurally, it would be proper. Politically, there ain't a prayer. They're never going to do it. So don't talk about poor legal reasoning. Lie number, 25 or whatever the heck I'm up to yet. Then he starts taking questions. The first question right out the gate was from a lady reporter, I don't know who she was, that asked him about, look, the plaintiffs, you, through me, was like, well, they're not arguing about whether or not the mask or these other mitigations are are good or bad. They're arguing that you don't have the authority to implement them. Isn't that right, your governor? And he denies it. He completely denies it. And he says, oh, that's not what they're arguing. That's not what they're arguing. It's absolutely what we argued. 100% what we argued. And he's like deflecting from that question because he doesn't want to talk about that question. He doesn't want to say, I got the power. It's mine. I'm taking it. I'm going to keep it. Legislature be damned. Courts be damned. I'm going to keep it. That's what he wants to say. He can't say that, so he deflects that lady's question. Well, that's not what they're really asking in the court. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Lie number 50. Oh, this is a good one here, guys. This is a good one. I'm sorry, I'm on a roll. I've been on a mood all day. He consulted with the legislature. He consulted. You know who he consulted with? A couple of them. He even consulted with the minority House leader of the Republican Party, he said. They had a little consultation. The last time I checked, if the legislature is going to do something, they have to convene. They have to have it on the House floor, the Senate floor. People get to watch. People get to participate. Don't the people still participate? Or if what JB said is he consulted, so he went and had his little backroom meetings with his cronies from either party talking about what he thought he wanted to do, and that's the legislative process. That's what this buffoon, that's my word for tonight, guys. I don't know where it come from. That's what he told the reporter. Oh, I discussed it with the legislature. His idea of managing and running and governing our state is to engage in what tyrants used to do. I'll go have my backdoor conversations, make sure that they're okay, and on the down low that they're not going to squeal when I start going out here and doing things, and we're good now because I got that taken care of. I talked to them. That's what he said in the press release. Okay? Then he says, oh, hospitalizations. Got to watch hospitalizations. That's the standard. That's the standard. It's not the question. The question is who has the right to choose what mitigations we're going to put in place? Who makes those decisions? Hospitalization's got nothing to do with that. If you want the legislature to pass a law, maybe they're interested in hospitalization. Maybe the legislature passes a law that says, you know what? We're going to institute a universal mask mandate in schools for now, but that mask mandate will go away if hospitalization rate drops below a certain part. Okay, legislature, you want to do that? Do it. That doesn't give that guy the ability to run like a tyrant and use those things. He deflects from the whole conversation talking about hospitalization. Okay? Let me see here. Oh, then he even goes on. This was weird. He goes on. He starts getting nervous, and he goes on about the Attorney General's office talking to the staff of schools. Why are lawyers from the Attorney General's office talking to school district staff? Do you think the Attorney General's office is trying to politically try to motivate school districts to do what the governor wants them to do? Because these school districts are coming apart at the seams, God love them. Their parents are losing it, and they're getting political and legal advice from the Attorney General's office. There's no reason that lawyers from the Attorney General's office should be talking to school district staff. The school districts have their own lawyers, their own private attorneys. I didn't get it. I didn't get a lot more out of that, but I left that going, why is the Attorney General's office talking to these school districts? Completely out of bounds, in my opinion. Okay, let me keep going. Again, he goes on again about his tools, right? Used to be mitigations, but his tools. This is not about whether the tools are good or bad, effective, not effective. It's about who gets to set the tools, who gets to enforce the tools, all of that. And again, as I told you before, he deflected from all of that because he doesn't want to have that conversation. Doesn't want to have the conversation. And that reporter today, I appreciate her, and more reporters need to do that. Push him on. It's not about masks. It's not about exclusion. It's not about vaccine. It's not about testing. It's about who gets to put those in place. not the legislature, or not the executive. It's the legislature. Okay, let me go on here. I've only got a few more. Oh, then he says, he's talking about, he goes on and says school districts that aren't a part of this lawsuit just should keep doing what they were doing before, right? His requests, right? Requests. Yeah, do what you're doing before. And he said, but we've got a few. I wrote my notes down here. There's a few of them that are not just doing what they did before. A few. 250 school districts. I just got the thing. District 181, High School 181 from up by Hinsdale, who had a little bit, they were having a tough time today. I get it. They just went mask optional, right? They didn't have to do that. They could have had masks or mask optional only for my kid. I call them my kids. I'm going to be their father, figuratively speaking. I call them my children because I take this that serious. So my children are the only ones that really didn't have to wear a mask. They just went mask optional across the board. Again, we're pushing 250. The Archdiocese of Peoria finally went mask optional. None of these 250 school districts had to go mask optional across the district. Not one, you guys. I need you to understand that. Not one of them needed to do that because the court didn't even go down that path. It said just these kids. And he says, some, again, trying to marginalize it, because that's what gaslighters do. They marginalize the opposing viewpoints. They try to belittle it. 250. 250. And growing. And then he goes on to say is that there's no reason why these other school districts should ever follow the judge's decision if they weren't subjected to it. There's no reason. Yeah, there is. There's a reason. The reason is because it's unlawful for you to try to tell them what they have to do. That's the reason. It's, to suggest the court order doesn't require it. Okay, that's true, but this is not about a court order. This is about school districts who have stood up and said, we've had enough. That's what it's about. And he keeps trying to minimize that conversation. Okay, there's a couple more here. Oh, then they started talking about chaos. Oh, the chaos. And we do have some pretty emotional situations right now. I'm not minimizing that. But he starts using the word chaos. And he blames the judge's decision on creating the chaos. Right? Starts blaming the judge. And a reporter called him on it and says, well, isn't it fair that they will likely say that you're the one that caused the chaos? And he deflects that question. Guys, he's exactly the one that caused the chaos. You know why he caused the chaos? Is because he took a situation, a serious situation from March of 2020, grabbed a hold of it and turned himself into a tyrant and started running this state by executive fiat, completely abandoning the people's legislative branch. And he scared, and he intimidated, and he threatened, and he manipulated the small business owners, the parents, the public officials at all levels. He did that to you in his efforts to keep you safe. And the chickens are coming home to roost almost 2 years later. He caused the chaos. He's 100%. He is the governor of the state. The buck stops with him. If he would have managed this coronavirus like a man with honor and would have included and encouraged all branches of government to participate equally, encouraged it. He didn't. He didn't encourage any of it, but oh, look at me. I'm the almighty King Pritzker. Bow before me and let me make these decisions for you. That's how he conducted himself. And that bum wants to go run for president. For God's sakes, the people of this country don't want that man as president. That would be horrific for the due process rights and our foundational structures of this United States of America. It would be horrific for it. He doesn't respect the separation of powers. He abuses his position as the supreme executive. He does not deserve the respect or the dignity of any of these public offices. That's the truth. And I'll stand anywhere and say that. So I wanted to talk about I had to get on the phone and give a few responses to the press, this governor's press release. They wanted to hear my thoughts. I gave them the reporters a less dramatic version of that. But you guys, I give it to you straight. That's exactly what it was. I lost track of the lies, right? Lost track of the lies and the manipulation, the gaslighting, the narcissistic tendencies. I grew up with a father that had some problems. No disrespect, he's gone now, been gone for years. He had those personality traits. You know what that means for somebody like me? I'm really good at picking up on them because I had to live through it as a kid. I can read them like a book, baby. And that's what he's got. That's what he's got. We got to get rid of that bum, you guys. We got to get rid of him. I know the election's in November, but he's got to go. Okay? So let me see here. I'm going to look. You guys are on a roll over there. I can see it. Okay. Diocese of Joliet's now mask recommended. Good. He's worse than Biden. Who says that? Deb, you say that? J.B. Pritzker is 1,000 times worse than Joe Biden. Because if you have an official, an executive, who abuses his position and absolutely does everything he can to get around the legislature, to get around the judiciary, which is what Judge Griswold said, that is dangerous. That is Satan. I don't get into a lot of the religious stuff, but that is Satan operating through somebody, right? If he wants his policies and he thinks that's the best thing for us as people, go put him in front of the legislature and let the legislature adopt his policies. Okay? That's all right. I don't have a problem with that. But to just work around it, Judge Griswold said it, worked around the evil that the law is intended to protect. Let me tell you about that, guys. I got about another 5 minutes. What did she mean by the evil? Let me tell you what she meant. When this country was founded, 200 and how many years we got? We're pushing 50 now, about 250 years. You know what the evil was that we were trying to get away from? There was a lot of it. Is that centralization of power into an executive, right? The king and his people, they were executive, right? In nature. And that was not something that we were about. We were self-governed. Self-governed is our foundational principles. Who makes the decisions of how we run this show? Me is one of 300 million, 12.5 in Illinois. You, my friends, you call the shots. That's what the fabric of our society is about. We call the shots. We are the people's voice. We're the legislature. The executive has his role. Judiciary watches over it. The separation of powers was intended to prevent the evil of an executive trying to take power. Because as human beings, you guys, as human beings of thousands and thousands of years in our DNA, we have a general tendency to want to have the executive rise up and to lead us. We've only been in this world 250 years in our country, so we have to, every chance we get, we have to resist letting the executive start assuming that authority. That's a danger. That is a danger that's worth the 10 times power of a coronavirus. That is the evil, you guys, that the judge was talking about. That our system of checks and balances has to stop an executive trying to do what he did. That's the evil. And that's the only thing that I care about for your kids, for my kids, for your grandkids, is that evil does not take over our system of government. If our legislature wants to pass laws that we don't like, that's okay. We work to change those laws, but that's how the system was intended to work. We, the people, make the laws. JB can twist and he can contort and he can bend language with people. And at the end of the day, everybody can see right through it. Judge Griswold saw right through it. Right through it. The lawyer for the attorney general is not a bad lawyer. He's not a bad guy, but he was trying to twist and bend tyranny into a proper mode of self-government. And it was abysmal, and it was pitiful, and it was depressing. And it goes against everything that this country stands for, okay? So let me take a couple of questions if I could, but I just had to say that, guys. That's the evil that we're talking about, and I know all of you can feel it. That's why you're so frustrated. You can feel that evil, and you have to fight back, right? It's all about you. It's not me. I'm just one guy. It's you. Keep fighting back. Push, 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 push. If 100 parents and kids don't work tomorrow at the school district, next day make it 200. Next day make it 300. They'll listen to you. I promise you, they'll listen to you if the voice is loud enough. Okay. Okay. Let me look at a couple. You guys are blowing it up. What can the parents of city of Chicago Archdiocese do? Get more people, bigger group. I don't know how many kids go to school, Chicago Archdiocese. Let 20% of their kids walk out the door and say, we're done. We're going back to a different school. You watch them change their tune then. I guarantee it. Let me see here. Okay. You know, you guys, I'm not going to talk about that, but the Convention of the States, I love the premise. We'd have enough momentum yet to get a convention, and what are we going to do when we get there? You know, maybe that's a possibility. I mean, I like the idea, but somebody would have to explain to me the specific goals that we were trying to accomplish if we convene, you know, the states. It sounds good. It'll get you emotionally charged because you're frustrated about certain things. But if you're going to do something like that, it has to be well planned out. It has to be well thought out. And you really have to be on board about exactly what your goals are. Just saying I want to convene the states without having it more detailed, it's going to be a tough thing to do. If Tucker Carlson tonight, yeah, he hadn't called me yet. Get on a roll, on a rampage on Fox News about Pritzker. I'll take their ratings through the roof. Facebook stock is still tanking. Oh, Zucky, you poor bastard. I hope it goes bankrupt. Right? I don't know how smart I am, Helena, but I appreciate you saying that. You know, my unwillingness to be quiet has been a double-edged sword in my life. My family would tell you that. So, you know, I don't have the ability to sit by idly and let things happen. And most of the time, that's worked out well for me. Sometimes it's got me in the heat, but that's okay. But thank you for the compliment. Term limits is the goal for the Convention of the States. I'm going to probably piss 3/4 of you off right now, and let me tell you why. I'm not for term limits. You know why I'm not for them? Because you already got them. It's called an election. Now, what you're really wanting to do is you're wanting to say, well, people are too stupid and lazy to pay attention to how we're going to govern ourselves. So let's put term limits in place so they can only be there for a certain amount of time. That's a horrible idea. You know what a better idea is? Get off the couch. Get off your soapbox. Quit playing so much golf. Do whatever you're doing and get back into the business of helping run your country. You know what? You do that, and you don't have to talk about term limits. You know, I mean, again, a lot of you may not agree with me, and that's okay. Term limits is just an excuse for us to continue to be lazy. Term limits will destroy us just like we're going down the path if you don't get off the couch, figuratively speaking. Get busy self-governing. You won't worry about term limits. Yeah, Barb, I sleep sometimes. Do you think his appeal has a chance? I don't know. Again, it's a crapshoot. You know, I think he's got an uphill battle with his appeal because I think two things. I think one, her opinion is well reasoned and well laid out, and two, people are going through the roof in this state, right? People know what's right, and everybody listens to what the people are thinking. Okay, so I think the governor's got an uphill battle. Okay, let me see here. Let me see here. Ryan, unless you see something, again, it's as typical now. It scrolls so fast that I can't keep up with it. Please address segregation in D300, Kristen says. You know, that's really a fact-specific question on whether or not separating your child is tantamount to an isolation or quarantine type of situation. If they stick your kid in a closet, yeah, that's a problem. If they set them on the other side of the classroom, etc., it's a bunch of nonsense. We may deal with that later, but as of today, tomorroit's, guys, we got to pick our battles, and our battle right now is winning this appeal and doing the best job we can with that. So those issues, well, I know they're nonsense, and it's these people are freaking out. You guys are going to keep getting me on a roll. We're getting ready to have a party, and I'm going to be fired up. This is also the governor's fault, directly responsible. And I said this today to Reporter. 3/4 of you on here are going to probably hate me again. That's okay. I'll always be honest with you guys on what I'm thinking, and we don't always have to agree. But I told a reporter today, I said, Governor Pritzker is responsible. I said, you know what? Governor Pritzker and President Trump have something in common. And he's paused because, I voted for President Trump twice. I said, but they have a flaw that I don't like. And I said, they do too much of stirring people up emotionally instead of talking to them intellectually and trying to inform and educate them and get them involved to participate. I said President Trump was very good at stirring people up and getting them all fired up. And I said sometimes that has a benefit, but to me, it can be just as much a detriment because I want people to be informed and understand things and help me make good choices. I don't just want them walking out of a rally going, yeah, Trump, he's the man. That doesn't help you govern our country and our state. And again, J.B. Pritzker is the same way. He has spent the last 2 years firing up people and getting them scared to death and emotionally distraught that, oh my God, if we don't have masks on kids, everybody's going to die. He's responsible for that. And so now you have your children going to school, and there's teachers and staff members who probably aren't bad people. They're freaking scared to death because the governor got them convinced that everybody's going to die. And so they're having these emotional responses. They might have said something to your kid that was uncomfortable, or they might have had your kid set across the room or something like that, right? And then you have this chaos. And again, that's because he spent all of his time not working with you, not trying to educate you, not trying to ask you to help him figure out how to guide this state, not getting the legislature involved. He pontificated with threats, fear, and intimidation and scare tactics for 2 years, and it's got people in such a frenzy that we're having these problems. It's Governor Pritzker's fault. So don't get mad at me and beat on me because I said something about President Trump. I'd vote for him again because I believe in his policies and what he tries to do with the economic engine of our country, which I think is the most important. But I could use a little bit less of the, getting everybody all frizzied up. It's kind of fun, but I want you guys to be thinkers. I don't want you to be, yeah, go, all right? Nothing bad with a little bit of that, but I need you to be thinkers. Let me see here. And again, the biggest issue I had today, guys, is I had so many messages. My daughter got segregated and put into a different room and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, you're not one of the persons named in the case, okay? Or your school district's not named in the case. If your school district is not in this case, or your child is not named in this case, your school district, depending on where you're at, may be telling your kid, you don't have a mask on, you're going to go to the library, or you're going to go to the gym or something. There's nothing I can do about that today, okay? Can't do anything about that today. Who said that? Is that Devin? Too many parents are willing to stand up now that the masks are coming off. Yeah, you got to motivate people somehow, guys. I've been trying to motivate you for 2 damn years. 2 damn years I've been trying to get you guys motivated. What's it going to take? I didn't know if I was ever going to get you guys off the couch. There's a reason that 41 states in this nation are mask optional, and there's only 10 left. You think the coronavirus is any more or less significant in those 41 states than it is in the 10 that still have the mask on people? What's the difference? It's you. You tolerated it. You think the people of Texas are mask optional because the coronavirus is less significant there than Illinois? No, the people of Texas said, I don't think so. Ain't happening. We'll send you packing. You do that crap. You've been taking it all this time. And you can say, oh, I haven't been taking it. I've been upset about this all the time. Guys, on a grand mass scale, y'all been taking it. Don't take it anymore. I've told you it once, I'll tell you a million times. If you quit taking it and you keep the heat on your school districts now that they're starting to flip to mask optional, regardless of this court case, doesn't matter. Court case does not matter if these school districts just say, yeah, we're done. Doesn't matter. That's the pressure that you need to put. Somebody holler at me for making fun of or criticizing President Trump. I figured somebody in here holler at me, call me a bad guy. That's okay. I still love you. Let me see. What's the likelihood of a stay coming from the Court of Appeals? Again, I'm not going to talk about that publicly because that would, be disrespectful to that court that's still got to hear that issue. I can tell you I'm going to file a response that says that they shouldn't do it. Okay? Let me see here. Somebody said, Nat, we're motivated when we have you in our group. You guys, when this all comes to be said and done, and we're done with this issue, and this issue is going to come to an end this year, one way or another, I don't want you guys to need me. I don't want you to need me. I want you guys to look at me and say, yeah, Tom, we're good now. We got this. That's what I want. I don't need to be, I can go back home. I live on a farm. I can go fishing. I can go hunting. I can play with my cows. I can work, and do what I want to do. I don't want you guys to need me. That's the difference between me and most politicians. They want you to need them because they think it makes them important, makes them feel powerful. I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I want you to say, get on out of here, old man. We got it. That's what I want. Let me see. Again, you guys going so fast. Hey, okay. People need truckers. Yeah, we need truckers. You know what I saw today? I saw an 8-year-old child, little girl, walked into her school without a mask on. It's not a part of this lawsuit. Standing up for herself. Walked in that door. 8-year-old baby. Walked in the door with no mask on. Said, I'm here. And you know what? They started giving her grief. Eventually, mom came and took her home. And I said, I love it. Think of the power, the courage that it takes for that baby to do that. That's the kind of courage that changes the world right there. Not sitting at home complaining on social media. Walk in the door. 8 years old. Her mom was proud, and so was I. That's the kind of courage we're talking about right there. Okay. Let me see here. Appellate court have a deadline to rule. It'll be middle of next week. Who asked me that question? I can't keep track. Somebody asked, take a deadline next week. What happens when the appellate court rules? Depends what they say. Even if they were to somehow or another overturn the TRO and send it back to her, it depends on what they say, right? So once they issue that ruling, whether they uphold her order or overturn her order, guys, don't wig out and go Jerry Springer on me, okay? Don't wig out and go Jerry Springer on me. Be calm. We'll talk about it, okay? Let me see here. Guys, all of the school districts that aren't named, all the people that aren't in this case, you guys need to quit. Again, I'm asking you, at least for the next week and a half, quit talking about that. We have work to do on this appeal. This appeal is the most important part. During this time, no school districts are going to be added into a new case, no joinder of people that aren't in these cases. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Let me say it again. It's not going to happen. The courts aren't going to allow it. They can't do it. This appeal, sit tight, keep pushing on your school districts, keep pushing to keep your kids mask free every day like there is no court case. That's what I need you guys to do right now. For the next week and a half, don't worry about the court case. You worry about taking care of business at your local school districts like there is no court case. And if you can do that, the court case doesn't matter. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? If you act like the court case doesn't matter and you push your school district in the path you want them to go, court case doesn't matter. Megan says, do I keep my kids out of school and protest? It's up to you. Get half the school to agree with you. Now you're talking, right? Take 20%, 30%. Say we're going to stay home for a month. And you're going to get someplace. Get 20 or 30% of your parents to walk in the door with your kids. Say we're here, educate us. They say, nope, okay, we'll go home. Tomorrow, 50% of the school district with their parents. We're here to be educated. No, we'll go home. You'll get it done that way. One or two of you? That's tough. Megan Elizabeth, my district is in this case but not complying. Yes, they are as it relates to my clients that are named in the petition. I don't know which district you're in, ma'am, but I don't have any districts that are telling my children that are in the case that they don't have to, or they have to put a mask on. That's not happened because they would already been had contempt. But as of right now, if your children go to school at a school that's not, that is in this case, but you're not named in it, they may decide not to let you take the mask off your kids. Okay. All right. So that's, yeah, that's been a while. So we're going to go. Guys, I don't know if you can hear the party going on back in there, but it's not a party. It's called a soiree. A soiree. And I'm like, I know what a shindig is, but what the hell is a soiree? I guess they're about the same thing, right? So I'm going to go this shindig and have a little fun. You guys have a good night, and I'll be in touch. Take care.